Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and today we're going to talk about some really fascinating numbers on non-monogamous type of relationships. So there's a YouGov poll from January with 1,300 adults, and about one third of U.S. adults say their ideal relationship is non-monogamous. And what's interesting is the millennials say 43% of them say their ideal relationship is non-monogamous, though an equal percentage, 43% of this generation say their ideal relationship is completely monogamous. It's so fascinating that such a high, like the younger generations are like, I don't want to be exclusive or tied down to anybody. What do you guys think about that?
I wish I knew a little bit more about this. In other words, is it non-monogamous in the sense that they want to have like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but still be able to see others, or is it they don't even want that boyfriend or girlfriend and they just really
They
just
don't
want
want
to
to be
have fun?
exclusive with anybody. That's what non-monogamy is. It means you can date each other, but date other people. Monogamy means you've committed to somebody.
Well,
To be exclusive,
do they want one rather consistent source though, a consistent relationship, but still have others on the side, or are they just playing the field, whatever comes
I
my
think it's
way?
both.
well, we
I think
looked
they
at the
can be
open
both.
Yeah.
relationships, and that, especially during the lockdowns, people got cabin fever. Especially couples where both of you are normally at work during the day, and then you're locked down, and now you're stuck in the house with each other. So you have to spend a lot more time around the other person. And when you're in a long-term relationship, especially when you're living with somebody, you're kind of existing together, if you will. And so people that didn't really like each other to begin with, and now you're forced to live under the same roof 24/7. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, if maybe you guys do, what the open relationship was that I think was up like 40 something percent. Over 40% of couples were saying, and to me, when I look at that, it's I mean, your divorce rate's 50%. That's just indicative. A lot of people in relationships are not happy. And then so if you're stuck at home and you got lots of downtime, you got time to contemplate and think. A lot of people had life epiphanies. We're like, I don't really like this person. I don't want to be with this person anymore. And so dating other people while you're still in a relationship is a way. It's kind of like a safe way to monkey branch and try to find somebody better, but don't blow up what you got because you might not.
It sounds like exactly what it's like. Let me test and see if I really do want something else. But once you throw that out there, once you start messing with what you have, don't do it unless you're willing to give it up.
You got to go with your intuition and your gut feeling and what feels right. And we all get to that point where relationships run its course. I don't like this person, or they're not honest, or they're not reliable and dependable, or they don't communicate well, or they're angry all the time, or they're passive aggressive, or their interests and goals and values are different than my own. Or I mean, it's like a lot of. I was talking about this on my video newsletter I did earlier today. A lot of women will marry guys that they're not in love with, and the guy has no idea. They can't tell. And that's why I see a lot of the guys in the red pill community are they can't tell either, and they're pissed off. And their idea is to say, well, there's something wrong with women, because then it absolves them from any responsibility. Because it takes two. That they were in the relationship as well. That I was their best thinking to get involved with that person, and more people put more thought into buying a car and researching a car than they do a life partner or something they're going to be in a relationship with.
Wow. Yeah, I personally have a hard time with that. When it comes to relationships, you either want to be with that person or you don't. You kind of
You're
know.
either in or you're out.
Yeah, if you're stringing the one along because you're not sure if something else will come along, well, you're stringing that one along. It's probably time to cut ties and move on and find the one that you're supposed to be with.
Yeah, it's not fair to them either. It's not fair to you, because you're, by taking up their life and their time, especially with a woman who's got a biological clock, and you waste years of her life when deep down you know you don't want to marry her, and then you finally grow the balls and you break up with her, and now you've taken years. So you're getting in the way of her finding who she's supposed to be with, and vice versa, because you got to create a space in your life for somebody new to come and fill.
Yeah. Now, the flip side to that would be you're with someone and they know that you're really not that serious and not monogamous, and you're having other relationships and they're having other relationships. If you agree to that and that's what you're doing until you both find something better.
What do you girls think about non-monogamy? Well, you're kind of in a non-exclusive situation, right? Weren't we talking about that last time? It was
No.
more open, or you were seeing a guy who was in an open relationship or something like that?
I mean, we're just communicating. It's nothing really
What
big.
does
I mean,
that mean? Just
what does that mean?
communicating.
Like, we're just communicating. Nothing further has
Yeah.
happened. I'm just
So it's
trying to get to
strictly
know the
verbal
dude.
communication.
Yeah, just strictly verbal. I'm just trying
Market
to get to know
research.
the guy. It's nothing. It's not that deep. But no. I mean, I've communicated with the guy. He basically told me he was in an open relationship with his girlfriend. I'm like, okay, as long as you guys are actually like, come to that mature consensus, then I don't see any issue with it, but it's not like anything's gonna happen. I'm just trying to talk to people, meet new people, make new friends and whatnot. Who knows what will happen, but
Trying to see
I didn't
this
mind.
guy away from this girl.
no, why would
Trying
I
to
do
bring joy
that?
in their open relationship.
Listen, it's their decision if they want to be in an open relationship. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be that person who is
Does
gonna
he want
like
you to meet
disrespect
her
them.
What
or
happens
get
if
involved
you
with her, or
guys
is it just
stare?
you and him then?
No, I'm just talking to him basically.
But what happens
That's
if in the future you're like, I want you just for myself? How do you go about that? What happens if you want that person just yourself?
For me, I mean, if we're talking hypotheticals here, I don't agree with open relationships, so I don't see that working out anytime.
But
So-
if we look at your actions, you're communicating with a guy who's in an open relationship, and
Because
you're like,
I'm single.
I'm cool with it.
Because I'm single and
But
I
at
have
some
nothing
point-
holding me back.
But at some point, would
But
you want them all to
essentially, if you
yourself?
get into a relationship with a guy in an open relationship,
You are
that's
in an open
you're
relationship.
You know-
Thus, you're in an open relationship.
really.
This is the
Yes.
time. This is the time in this show where you wish we were on Dr. Phil and let's bring him on out.
Yeah. But yeah.
Do explain, Jocelyne.
No,
How
I've
do you square
explained.
that? How do
I've
you square
explained
that?
it. I explained it the best I could.
Like, what if you started developing feelings for him? Like, how would you feel about the other girl?
I mean, I don't think I would ever develop feelings because, again, I don't agree to open relationships. I don't see myself with anybody who's in an open relationship. I
You're
respect the
contradicting yourself.
person who's in an open relationship with whoever they're with, but if I'm completely honest, I'm not gonna. Honestly, I don't see myself with someone who's interested in open relationships.
Yet you're talking to a guy who is.
Because I'm single and I have nothing.
But you're
holding
open
me back.
to an open relationship with him then.
I mean, I just like meeting people and making friends and whatever
Are you gonna meet him?
happens. Huh?
Are you going to meet him in person?
No, I've already met him once, but that was it.
Ah.
But he's a pretty chill guy.
You going to
But-
see him again?
Huh?
You going to see him again?
I mean, he's out of town right now, so.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
The
She's
question,
stalling.
the
She's
question-
stalling.
it's that phrase,
I'm not
whatever
stalling.
happens. The question is whatever happens, what does whatever happens mean?
Yeah, what do you intend to happen? That's the huge.
I mean, I can't just predict what's going to happen in the future. I'm just taking it easy, taking it one day at a
You don't-
time.
But what would be
Dodging
what
the
would be your
question.
I'm not
tolerance?
dodging the question, guys. Come on.
What would be your tolerance or what would be your allowance in the whatever happens that you would allow to happen in whatever happens?
I mean, definitely not a relationship.
So you're open to the possibility of an open relationship,
No, I'm not.
but yet you're talking and hanging out with a guy who's in an open relationship. And you're like, hey, but I'm single, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just nothing really big of a deal. So,
Just about a little side piece,
I
little side
never-
action.
It's like it almost sounds like I've never actually done cocaine. I only smelled it a few times.
I just like
You
meeting
get attached.
new
You
people,
get
okay?
attached pretty quickly.
I guess this is our point. If you start hooking up and then it's a reoccurring thing, technically you're in an open relationship as well too. Then, because if you're still just looking for your own thing, but you're still, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I
know.
mean, if you're in the sky, it got on a started seeing.
So he's a
for
sex playmate for.
No, no.
Because I get what Chunky's saying, but I get how she's seeing it too. So in other
Yeah.
eyes, it would look like if you did start hooking up with this guy, since he is dating someone, you're developing a relationship. So it would be an open relationship.
Mhm.
But since you're not and you're single, you're doing your own thing, it's not an open relationship. till stuff starts happening.
See, women only
Yeah.
live in the moment. When they tell you I love you, it means they love you in that moment. There's like, well, she told me I love you 6 months ago. It's like, she ain't saying it now. She ain't feeling it now.
But that goes to show that I feel like a lot of people are afraid, not afraid, but they don't care to be committed anymore to just one person. I feel
Yeah.
like there's so many options in this world that people are like, why am I gonna like strap myself down to this one person?
I
Yeah.
also think it's a societal and cultural change because, as you can see throughout the time, it changes. I think over time, people got less serving for the community and looking out for others and more serving in their own self-interest.
Yeah.
And that's why people are more in the monogamous, because it's more in your self-interest if you just be with more partners compared to being
with-
locked down to the one.
Yeah,
Because
be with
when you're
whoever
locked
you
down with the one, you're really giving up that more for that partner, and you're looking out for their interests and their well-being. But when you're just doing the monogamous, you're only looking in for number one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that plays into it.
Yeah, no one's playing the old school role anymore.
Yeah.
Like you see, like the numbers are completely different from
Because
baby boomers.
down about 13 points and up 13.
Yeah, they're really the only reason to get married is if you're or if you're religious, or you're gonna have kids together and be teammates and
Mhm.
provide that family structure, that environment. But then they got a lot of people co-parent. I mean, look at Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They've been together 40-something years, 30-plus years, never got married.
Yeah, but there's more to it than that, because you're also, giving the woman the security that she knows that you're committed to her, versus someone that might just be stringing them along and, meeting the temporary needs of having someone there in their life.
That's the importance of being able to tell when the person you're in a relationship with actually cares about you. Because if you have a belief running around your mind that you don't deserve love and you don't deserve to be with somebody that really deeply cares about you, then you'll be really attracted to somebody who pretty much doesn't care and treats you that way. Because that's how you perceive yourself, that's what you think, that's what you feel, that's typically what you're emotionally anchored to because of your upbringing. And when you come across somebody that's not into you or not that into you, you'll talk yourself into sticking around because that feels normal. Being in a relationship with somebody that really likes you and cares and communicates well doesn't feel normal. And that's why people that can't come from messed up backgrounds will mess it up when they get something good on purpose, because what feels normal to them is something that's dysfunctional and messed up. So this is, the poll continues. In 2016, asked people about their ideal relationship, and 61% said they would ideally want to be completely monogamous. And so what's interesting is just 4 years later, in January of 2020, that number is now 56%. So that's a 5%, 5% drop in, or I'm sorry, 5% drop in 4 years? That's crazy. And so many Americans are already in non-monogamous relationships. And so the poll says that about a quarter of all American U.S. adults are in non-monogamous type of relationships to some degree. So that's like 25%. So about 3 in 10, 31% of millennials say their relationship is non-monogamous now. And 8% say it's completely non-monogamous. So they're totally unattached. Another interesting tidbit is now that it says roughly 1 in 8, 12% of U.S. adults say they have engaged in sexual activity with someone else with the consent of their main romantic partner. But 18% say they've had a sexual encounter with someone else without their partner's consent. So 18% have cheated. And we talked about this a while back. We were looking at the numbers, and this just drives the guys that are in the red pill community and the people that follow them, because their belief is that women cheat more than men. Oh, it's well known that women cheat more than men. But the numbers say that 23% men are more likely, and only 13% of women to say they've had sex with someone else. So I think in one of the polls, it was about the same the other polls that we said. And what the people in the red pill community are complaining. They say that women lie, they don't tell the truth, and so therefore, the data on women who cheat is skewed because women don't tell the truth. They're not honest. They're not admitting to the cheating, and guys are more open to admitting they're cheating. What do you ladies think about that?
I think it's
don't
the other way
believe that.
around.
Yeah, I don't
It's
believe
definitely
that.
the other way around. Sorry.
No, actually, it kind of
Sorry,
makes sense. I
not
could see
sorry.
that. I could see that being a possibility.
Guys always beat around the bush until you get it out of them.
Yep.
Girls, it's more like they'll
feel
just
like both
Well,
say
that
it
is
straight up.
if you get it out of them, because
Yeah.
they'll do whatever it takes to dodge that
I
question.
feel like it's not
too.
just a man or woman thing. I think that's just a people thing, to be honest.
I mean,
think
yeah,
it just
that
depends on
too.
the individual. And there's both individuals as women and individuals as men. So you just got to be able to see the kind of through their character, not just their artificial things like what gender they are. Just judge them by their character. 'Cause
No, absolutely.
It's not just
Yeah.
only women are the cheaters and lying about it, and it's both. It's not also black and white. It's more gray.
No,
I'd say
absolutely. You have a point there. But, I'm taking into account the perspective of me and Caroline. Well, Caroline's perspective and my perspective. But yeah, I do agree with what you had to say. So
Because the way the audience is convinced that women are all a bunch of liars, and so therefore they cheat way more, they just lie about it.
I don't know. Like, what would be the point of volunteering to take a poll and then lie about it?
But that's I'm just saying that's what these guys and the audience are saying is that, oh, well, it's well known that women cheat way more than men. They're convinced of that. And so when we've done videos talking about this, and I bring it up in my video newsletters every couple of weeks, and then you get a bunch of those guys, you can tell them they've all been watching the red pill stuff, and they're very certain that they're right. And I was like, hey, man, the numbers don't back it up. The data doesn't back it up. Their assertion that the ladies cheat more. And it's the men cheat more. The men are less faithful and monogamous, and the guys are just they don't believe it. They don't want to believe it. And so one of the things that the late Dr. Love used to say, it was one of the chapters in his book, The Dating Dictionary. He said, "Women don't lie and men don't listen." And the reason why he says that is because one of the biggest complaints with women at their significant others, you're not listening. You never listen to me. And guys always say, well, she lies. Dr. Love's assertion was women speak a different language. It's called womanese. And you have to understand womanese because women don't want to hurt your feelings. And so they say things that sound nice, just like when they friend zone a guy. You're a great guy, but I got to work on myself. I'm confused. So they give him all these statements, and the guy thinks he's being jerked around. But at the end of the day, what they're ignoring is the actions. And the actions communicate. The bottom line is if a woman loves you, women don't dump men that they're in love with. I did a video newsletter because it's true. But most guys can't tell. And when I do phone sessions where there's been cheating or they were dating and messed up and literally chased the girl into the arms of another guy who was more masculine consistently, then he finally backs off and walks away, and then it doesn't work out with the other guy, and she comes back. And then they get serious again, or like I said, maybe there was cheating or infidelity, or he doesn't know what's going on. He's suspicious. What I've always told them, and what's borne out to be true, is until she's head over heels back in love, she's not going to come clean. And even Andy, I was telling him this because this was back when we were in our late 20s. He had a little Toyota Camry. And his ex-wife, was very, very beautiful. And she had this guy who was younger than her that she hung out with a lot. And she's like, he's just a friend, nothing going on. And so he was living with me. He had moved out because they had split up. But he started seeing her because he wanted her back. And I was helping him get her back, and he was having a hard time doing it because he was just not exercising self-control. He became kind of obsessive about it. And I remember he was hanging out outside, and he saw the dude go into her apartment. And he's like, but she still is like, no, we're just friends. Nothing's going on. And so the bottom line is he finally, over several months, started listening more and more to what I told him to do, and he did it. And then she started falling back in love with him again, wanting to be serious. She pursued him, got back into a relationship, and fell completely head over heels in love again. It's just she was putty in his hands. She broke down crying one night and just came out and told him that she had been sleeping with this guy after all, and she was sorry that she was lying. But at the end of the day, and I had the same issue with guys I've done phone sessions with. It's not until a girl falls back in love that the real truth comes out. So there is truth to the assertion that women don't appear to tell the truth. It's like they'll lie by omission at times and just tell you what you want to hear, and guys oftentimes will just kind of fill in the blanks and make up their own mind because they don't want to believe certain things. But that's the true test. But at the end of the day, you have men and women that both lie. But like I said, if you're suspicious, it's like you're not going to know for sure until she's head over heels in love, and then that's when she'll feel guilty as hell, and she'll totally come clean. But it usually won't happen otherwise. I've never seen it happen otherwise, unless she doesn't give a shit about you.
I have a friend that has an exact parallel story that could verify everything you said is true. When I see polls like this, I do think that they are agenda-driven, so I wouldn't necessarily agree on the percentages. Because, it's kind of like if you go to Rumble and you watch a video, a poll pops up, how many people think that President Biden is doing a great job? Well, you're asking on Rumble, which is primarily a conservative platform. So when I see stuff like this, I do think that it's kind of agenda-driven, and you can poll people in certain populations to prove the point you want to demonstrate. And
it's well known that you can, based on the question that you ask, even the pollsters have admitted this, that based on the question that you ask, you can pretty much get a poll to say anything that you want it to. I mean, just look at the last election when Hillary was running against Trump. I mean, it was like the day before, New York Times, like 98% chance that Hillary's going to win.
Yeah, so when I see something like this and consider that, they might be trying to make one position glamorous, I'd be cautious.
So ladies, in your opinion, do men cheat more or women cheat more?
Men.
Both genders can, but men.
Well, statistically, that would only be possible if they're cheating with other men, right? Numerically, because if men are hooking up with women, then, the women have to be providing too.
I mean, the woman could be single and she wouldn't be considered cheating.
Yeah, technically, I guess.
Or she's separated but still living with her husband. They're sleeping in separate bedrooms, and then, she's in a relationship with another dude. And then, because they got kids involved after a year or so of dating, then the husband starts acting masculine. He doesn't want to lose his family, so he starts displaying attractive behaviors. And she's been with the guy 10 years. They got a couple kids together, and she's been seeing this dude maybe for a few months or a year, and he's like, oh, it's just my girlfriend. We're going to move in together. We're buying real estate together or whatever. And then she backs away and goes back to the husband and then breaks up with the dude. And those guys end up calling me. It's like, that's why I say you'd never get involved with somebody that's in the middle of a breakup or going through a divorce until it's totally finalized, especially when they live together. And it's pretty common, especially where there's kids, because they can't afford two households, or she's going back into the workforce. She might have been a stay-at-home mom for a while. But you get into a situation where there's still, the divorce isn't finalized, and especially if it's just brand new. If she was with somebody for 10 years and she's been single for 2 months and is on a dating app, probably going to be hot and cold, be all into you one moment, and then they back up. I'm not sure. I need space. And with women in those situations, if you are going to get involved with them, you got to let them come at their pace, because they're going to be hot and cold. That's even in my book. Guys read it, though, and they think, this one's different. This one's different, Coach. You don't understand what she's really like. I was like, okay. I understand female nature, bro. And I got thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of phone sessions over the last 20 years. I've been doing this. You see the same pattern over and over and over and over.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend when people know that, like, the other person is about to get out of a relationship. When you're talking to someone that's in another relationship and they keep telling you like, oh, I'm going to break up with her, things aren't going well, and you're kind of just waiting there. I don't recommend that, because at the end of the day, that guy or whoever it is still needs time to, like, process everything. Like, you can't just hop into a relationship right after.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they're just a
agree.
replacement.
There's no
That's all
healing or anything.
Yeah, they're a replacement.
I totally
Yeah.
agree.
It's like literally putting a Band-Aid on.
Mhm.
It's not healing the wound. It's just putting a Band-Aid on. It's just kind of stopping the bleeding, but not fixing it.
Yeah.
Buying time.
Yeah.
You're replacing the intimacy that you have with one person with somebody new.
Mm-hmm.
I had a girlfriend that after we broke up, I think it was about 5-6 weeks later, she moved in with some other dude. And this was a guy that had always been kind of like the male orbiter, always wanted to date her, but he was too nice. And so he was always perpetually stuck in friend zone. Then after we split up, obviously, because we were dating like 3 years, she didn't like the idea of being single. And he was just happy to get her phone call. Then he moved her in. And then I think about 8 or 9 months later, she ended up getting a restraining order against him.
Oof.
Because he was a control freak. He was very abusive. And it's because he was weak. He was a bitch. And she was hot and she was very feminine. And she fucking drove him up a wall. He couldn't handle it.
What's it called when someone breaks up and then finds someone else, and that's the rebound chick, right?
Like monkey branching?
That's
what's
the
I think
Rebound.
rebound's
That's
the
the
word
rebound.
for it.
Rebound.
Rebound.
That's where you
Let's
don't
go.
take time to heal, and then you go from one relationship to the next. Or you go from being with somebody for several years, and then a few weeks later, you're hooking up with somebody new.
Yeah, it's like you're just seeing, this is ending. You line up the replacement, then you end it because you have the replacement there. That's what I feel like a lot of people. I think women do that more than men do that, where they'll stay in the relationship till they find the next person and then they'll go.
Like they fully moved on from that relationship
Yeah.
onto a new one. Yeah, I could agree with that.
But got the new guy lined up.
No, I thought of the term the rebound when you were talking about the Band-Aid, which is what the rebound chick is,
Yeah.
essentially.